YouTube, I got another one for you. So today we're watching a video by a random YouTuber that I found. This is a video about a gigantic bank scam that happened in South Africa, if I remember right. And this whole thing goes completely crazy. I've never even thought that someone could be dumb enough to invest in something like this. So I hope that you guys enjoy this video. I know I did when I watched it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
All right, chat. Second react. This is about a fucking con artist from, I want to say it was like South Africa, that sold an airport that didn't exist for hundreds of millions of dollars. Like he just sold motherfuckers a fake airport, dude. How the fuck? How do you not check if the airport that you're buying for hundreds of millions of dollars is there or not? How do you just not check that out? No one went to go inspect the property? No one cared about that? It's crazy. It's so fucking crazy to me, dude. So I could not pass up on this one. It's by a small YouTuber, too. I mean, he's bigger than I am from YouTubing, but 1.86K. So if you enjoy the video, definitely go hit him with a sub. He would love it. I'm sure he would love it.
For $242 million.
Yeah, $242 million.
Unbelievable, right? That's exactly what one Nigerian con artist did in the pre-internet era.
He kind of needs a better mic, though.
Story. Let's talk about the notorious Nigerian email scams that still plague our inboxes today.
I think that's text-to-speech.
We all know how they do it. You get an email from someone claiming to be a prince, a doctor, or a bank manager who has access to a huge fortune and needs your help to transfer it out of the country. All you have to do is send a small fee up front to verify your bank account.
We all know about the African prince
this sounds too good to be
that wants to give you fucking 7,000 Bitcoin if you send him one.
This is one of the oldest tricks in the book, but the scammer we're going to meet today was way ahead of his time. He was the mastermind behind the biggest fraud in Nigerian history.
Oh, Nigeria. Wait, is
amateurs.
Nigeria in South Africa? Am I stupid?
And in 1995, he pulled off a stunt that would make your jaw drop. He called the manager of the Brazilian Noroeste Bank.
It's a country in Africa.
Of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Central Bank of Nigeria is the most powerful financial institution
it's kind of
in the country,
northern Africa for sure.
all the banks and setting monetary policy. The governor of the central bank is a very influential figure, equivalent to a cabinet minister. So when the Brazilian bank manager got the call, he was all ears. The fake governor told him that Nigeria
absolutely,
was
Joey.
to build
I'll pull you up on the little side PC before I start gaming
Abuja.
today, my man.
Abuja is one of the largest and fastest growing cities in Nigeria, and a new airport would boost its economy and tourism. The fake governor said Nigeria was looking for investors to fund the airport project, which would cost around $250 million. He offered the Brazilian bank manager a golden opportunity to invest in the project and get a huge return on his investment. He also added a sense of urgency, saying that other banks around the world were also interested in the deal, and he had to act fast.
Stating world means that they can't contact them very easily,
too. The Brazilian bank manager. He knew that airports were cash cows, and he could easily recoup the $250 million he was about to put in.
Airports are cash
he was
cows?
about to make the deal of his life.
How is an airport? Well, I mean, I guess if you make that kind of money... Oh, pardon me, man. The airport itself... I wonder if building the airport was the $242 million, and he just took all of that money and disappeared. I wonder if that's how that went.
But as he was pondering the offer, the voice on the phone sweetened the deal even more. And there's one more thing, the voice said. As a bank manager, you will get a special bonus, a $10 million commission for facilitating this transaction. The Brazilian bank manager's eyes widened. Not only was he going to make a fortune for his bank, but he was also going to pocket a nice chunk of change for himself. He didn't care that he was risking the money of his clients, the people who trusted him with their savings. Blinded by greed and ambition, he quickly agreed to the deal, saying, "All right, our bank is in. Let's start the paperwork." What the Brazilian bank manager didn't know was that he was not talking to the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, but to a cunning con artist named Emmanuel Nwude. Emmanuel had no intention of building an airport. In fact, there was no airport project at all. It was all a hoax. So who was this man, and how did he pull off such a massive scam? Emmanuel Nwude was also a bank director.
I feel like the better question is, how did such a fucking idiot become the manager of so much money for a bank? That's what I feel like the real question is. How the fuck did we get there? homeboy just hears, oh yeah, I'll give you $10 million if you invest $242 million into this thing over here. And he's like, oh, dude, so true, bro. I believe you. I believe. Like, what the fuck? How are you managing millions of dollars?
But not of a state-owned bank. He worked
if you're
for
that
the
dumb.
Union Bank of Nigeria, a private commercial bank. He was already wealthy and respected, but he wanted more. He wanted it to be rich and powerful. He came up with a crazy idea to pretend to be the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria and to lure foreign banks into investing in a fake airport project in the capital city of Abuja. He knew that his own reputation was not enough to pull this off, so he decided to impersonate Paul Ogwuma, the real governor of the central bank. He assembled a team of 5 accomplices who were his friends and associates, and together they devised a plan to execute the biggest fraud in Nigerian history. All 5 members of Emmanuel Nwude's gang were knowledgeable about the banking and financial systems of both Nigeria and the rest of the world. They had access to confidential information about the key players in the Nigerian financial sector, which helped them pose as high-ranking officials. They devised a scheme to send faxes to various foreign banks, inviting them to invest in a huge airport project in Abuja, the new capital of Nigeria. The faxes are said to have been sent by Touristia William, director of the Nigerian Ministry of Aviation's Financial Planning and Budgeting Department. But Touristia William was a fake name.
Mercenary, how's it going? Welcome in, welcome in.
Or project. The faxes were cleverly tailored to each bank and country, and they looked very official and convincing. They also used a government fax machine, thanks to their connections in the Nigerian financial sector.
Okay, low-key, these motherfuckers are smart. I'm not gonna lie to you. These motherfuckers are smart as shit. They didn't just fucking go in there being dumbasses. These boys went crazy. They devised specific government-tailored documents per each country that they were sending that shit to, and figured out how to steal a government faxing machine. Holy shit, that's pretty fucking smart. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's pretty fucking smart. Holy shit.
To add more credibility to their scam, one of the banks that received the fax was the Brazilian Noroeste Bank, and the fax was addressed to its manager, Nelson Sakaguchi. Sakaguchi
and they
was of
knew all
Japanese
the
descent,
names of the
but he
bank
lived and
managers
worked in
too.
Brazil. The
I mean, I
fax
feel like
caught
that's
his
probably not
attention
very
because
hard
it
to
stated
find
that
out,
the
but
Nigerian Ministry of Aviation was seeking investors to construct a new airport, a city that was developing quickly since it became the country's capital in 1991. Sakaguchi's bank was already interested in investing in emerging markets, so he replied to the fax, expressing his interest and asking for more details. That's when Emmanuel Nwude stepped in, pretending to be Paul Ogwuma, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. He called Sakaguchi and explained the project to him, making it sound very lucrative and promising.
Oh, I bet he did.
Sakaguchi
I bet he did.
$10 million commission for facilitating the deal. Sakaguchi was hooked, and he agreed to invest in the project. He suggested that they meet in person, either
once again, how the fuck we got such a dumbass motherfucker working with hundreds of millions of dollars? We just got branch managers that just take the trust me bros and fucking run with it, dude. What the hell?
Nigeria or Brazil.
The hell is the word of these fucking branch
Emmanuel
managers?
Nwude said no. He wanted to keep
Let me
the
just have a
project secret
conversation
for
with
now
one of them real quick.
because it would not start until 4 or 5 years later. He proposed that they meet somewhere else, away from Nigeria and Brazil. Sakaguchi said he had a business trip to London the following week, and he asked if they could meet there. Emmanuel Nwude agreed, and they set a date to meet in London. Emmanuel Nwude and his team of imposters got ready for the meeting in London. They all pretended to be high-ranking officials from the Nigerian financial sector. Emmanuel was the governor of the central
How'd he
bank,
play?
another one was the deputy governor, and another one.
Can't you just, like, this has to be from before, like, Google and shit existed. There ain't no way this dumb fucking idiot bank manager didn't just Google a photo of the dude that he was gonna go meet, and then when he got there realize it wasn't him. What the fuck are we talking about? Are we joking? Are we joking?
One was the director of the Ministry
This has
of
to be
Aviation.
before Google.
They were
There's no
5
way.
in total, plus the wife of one of them. They prepared a fake plan for the airport, a fake site, and a fake land. They flew to London and checked into a lavish 5-star hotel. They sent a limousine to pick up Sakaguchi from the airport, and they booked
That's AI
him the
generated
best
as fuck.
suite in the hotel. They met him and introduced themselves as the characters they were playing, and Sakaguchi bought it. He had no way of verifying their identities since there was no internet, Google, or search engine
Yep,
back
here
then.
it is.
Emmanuel
Here it
also had
is.
fake documents and photos with the Nigerian president and prime minister. which made his lie more
Oh
believable.
my
He showed him the
God.
fake airport plans, the fake business plan, and the fake land location.
Yep.
And Sakaguchi was impressed, but Emmanuel told him that the project was confidential.
A time when true genius crimes were respected before the internet.
And that it would not start until 4 or 5 years later. Sakaguchi said he would send the money when the project started.
Although some motherfuckers
Emmanuel
did
said
just steal
no.
like $30
He
million
needed the money
from a
now
money
to hire
warehouse.
companies and buy materials. He said they only had
Congrats.
plans, and they needed
Shit.
funds to make them happen. Sakaguchi started to have doubts. He sensed something fishy about Emmanuel, who pressured him and said, "Look, if you don't want to do this, it's fine. We have many other investors who are eager to join us, but you were the first one to reply, and you seemed enthusiastic. And remember, I promised you a $10 million commission for your role in this deal, but if you're not comfortable, we can find someone else." Sakaguchi was scared to miss out on this opportunity.
What in the
A
hell
huge
is
investment
wrong with
plus
that eye?
a $10 million bonus. He told Emmanuel, "Even if I agree, the bank's management might not approve it." Emmanuel told him, "That's your problem, not mine. As I said, if your bank is not ready, we have other options." Sakaguchi said,
I wonder why
"No, you
AI
can
has
trust
such a
me.
problem with
We're partners
hands
in this project. I'll handle it."
and the
At that
faces in the
moment,
background,
Emmanuel
bro.
knew that
They're so
Sakaguchi was
bad.
hooked, and that the $10 million bait
They're
had worked.
so bad.
He knew he would do anything to close the deal. Sakaguchi thought he had struck a deal with some influential Nigerians. They had agreed in London that the bank would invest a whopping $242 million. That's $413 million in today's money, in a lucrative project in 1995. But before they parted ways, Emmanuel convinced Sakaguchi to wire $3 million as a sign of good faith and commitment. Sakaguchi felt the heat and sent the money, not knowing he had just stepped into a trap. Even when he started to have doubts after the first payment, he kept paying more, hoping for the best. Emmanuel used psychological tricks to manipulate Sakaguchi, which is a common tactic used by experienced scammers. Emmanuel made sure Sakaguchi paid a deposit of $3 million before he left London. He had him under his thumb. Sakaguchi continued to send Emmanuel millions over the course of 3 years, from 1995 to 1998. Sakaguchi, the fool, didn't inform anyone in the bank's management, and even took some clever measures to keep it a secret from the bank's owners. The most
I'm
crucial
pretty sure
measure
that's
was that he
embezzling.
never transferred more than $6 million at a time. Why did he do it this way? Sakaguchi had the authority to make transfers to foreign countries worth less than $6 million. If he wanted to transfer more, he needed the board's approval. The second measure was that he diversified the
Stupid.
transfers to different accounts in countries, such as America, Britain, Switzerland, and Hong Kong. The
That's
banks
literally
that received
embezzling.
The transfers were also
Am I
different
stupid?
as the money moved through a web of different countries and banks. No one in the bank's management bothered to track where the money was going, because that was supposed to be the bank manager's job. As for Emmanuel and his team in Nigeria, they used 17 banks to launder the money and spread it in a way that wouldn't attract attention. This way, Sakaguchi transferred $242 million
Yeah, that's
to Emmanuel
legitimately
and his
embezzlement.
gang in 3 years. During this time, Emmanuel kept sending
100%.
fake documents, photos, and contracts to assure him that the airport project was progressing and getting ready for the actual construction. As I said, Emmanuel and his gang had a banking background. When they got the money, they invested it. They bought properties in Nigeria and other parts of the world, and they bought stocks in several companies. The matter stayed hidden from everyone, and it probably would have stayed that way for a long time, if not for an unexpected twist. Sakaguchi was in for a shock when Santander Bank, the biggest bank in Spain, made an offer to buy Noroeste Bank. He had been the bank's manager for 14 years, and the bank's management agreed to the offer. But before the deal could go through, a joint board from both banks had to review all the assets and documents to evaluate their value. To their astonishment, they found that about a third of Noroeste Bank's capital had vanished, amounting to hundreds of millions. The board summoned Sakaguchi to explain what had happened in the last 3 years. He confessed that he had made a huge investment deal with the Nigerian government to build an airport in Abuja, the capital city, and that he had transferred $242 million over the past 3 years without the board's knowledge.
Dumb
But the board
as
couldn't believe their ears. How could he make such a
fuck.
big decision without telling them, and in such a shady way?
Bro.
An investigation committee was formed after a long effort at tracing the complex network where the bank's money had gone. By following the money trail in several countries and banks, they all led to Nigeria. The problem was that Nigeria had no real financial oversight. The committee couldn't find out who the people who received the money in Nigeria were. The matter dragged on until Western banks, mainly Swiss banks, pressured Nigerian banks. After they looked into the case, they froze several accounts that the money had passed through. They also asked Nigerian banks to cooperate with them in revealing the true identities of
I
the
hope
account
Outlast is
holders.
going good, Mark.
Nigerian banks, fearing that their
That's just
accounts at
scary as
Swiss
fuck.
banks and other
I'm
countries
still supposed to play
would be
Trials at
blocked,
some point.
decided to cooperate with them. Finally, they got to Emmanuel and his crew, but they faced another problem. Nigeria had no laws against financial fraud at the time. Emmanuel and his group remained free in
Nigeria was living
and
it
they
up.
might have bribed some officials to ignore any Western demands to arrest them or investigate their case. Santander Bank bought Noroeste Bank, but the deal was much cheaper than the real value. Sakaguchi faced trial in Switzerland for financial fraud and money laundering, and he got a long prison sentence. The bank's owners didn't give up on their rights and hired lawyers in different countries to try to get back some of their lost money. But the problem was that most of the money was in properties in Nigeria, and the Nigerian government couldn't cooperate with them. The matter stayed like this until Nigeria got a new president, Olusegun Obasanjo. He and his government saw the rise of financial fraud cases in Nigeria. He decided to create an agency called the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. This agency was established in 2003. The commission started an investigation into Emmanuel and his gang, and as a result, 5 of them were arrested. But as I said, they were 6 in total. So where was the 6th one? He died in a car crash during the investigation. And many suspect that it was not an accident, but a murder. The reason was that Emmanuel thought that this person was planning to spill the beans in exchange for a lighter sentence. Emmanuel decided to eliminate him. This is all speculation. The important thing is that Emmanuel and the other 4 were arrested, and their trial began in Abuja. During the trial, Emmanuel hired a lot of jurors, and the judge of the court got to the point that he warned Emmanuel not to try to bribe anyone. The judge didn't know who was bribed and who wasn't. So when the judge saw that things were out of his control, he decided to stop the case and move it to Lagos, the biggest city in Nigeria. Even after the trial moved to Lagos, Emmanuel kept trying to bribe the officers. He tried to reach the head of the Financial Crimes Commission, but this bribery attempt failed, and he got another charge for it. But Emmanuel didn't stop trying. The trial took a dramatic turn when a bomb threat was received in the courtroom. The hall was cleared quickly, and the session was halted and delayed for several hours until the special forces came and checked the place. They found out that there was no bomb and that the threat was a hoax. In the end, this move didn't help Emmanuel, and it was never proven that he was behind it. It was a failed escape plan. The important thing was that during the trial, they tried to negotiate with Emmanuel to give back the money he stole in exchange for a shorter sentence. He said he was willing to give back $10 million. They said, no, we won't take less than $80 million. Emmanuel came back and said to them, I can't give back more than $40 million. That's all I have. The public prosecutor told him, look, this is your last chance. If you don't agree to give back at least $80 million, you will lose the shorter sentence. Then the court brought in a surprise witness. This witness was Nelson Sakaguchi, the former director of the Brazilian Noroeste Bank and the main person who caused all this money to be lost. Sakaguchi walked into the courtroom full of shame. When Emmanuel saw him, he knew he was in trouble and that the case had taken a completely new direction. Sakaguchi admitted to everything, that Emmanuel pretended to be the governor of the central bank, which is a serious crime. He said that they funded him with $242 million, and he showed many photos, documents, and messages that were between them.
You fucked up when you showed him your face.
After this testimony, the evidence against him became stronger. Emmanuel tried to go back to the previous offer of $80 million, but the public prosecutor said no. Now you have to give back at least $120 million of the money to their owners, and also pay a fine of more than $10 million to the Nigerian government. Because Emmanuel had no other choice, he agreed. In return for this deal, he got a 5-year sentence, but he didn't serve these 5 years. He stayed in jail for less than 2 years. He sued the government, claiming they took more property from him than the agreement, which was $120 million. He managed to win these cases and get back about $50 million in properties.
What the fuck?
All of this was done through bribes that could have cost millions of dollars. After these events, Emmanuel Nude stayed free for many years. He continued to live a life of wealth and ease, but he was arrested again in 2016. This time, it was not a scam case. It was a murder case.
Oh, yeah,
It
that makes
seems
sense.
that he had a conflict over lands in one of his areas, and Emmanuel sent about 200 of his followers to attack these lands and their owners. and
God
fight them.
damn.
This resulted in the death of a guard and some serious injuries to several policemen. As a result, Emmanuel was arrested in 2016 on charges
Man's
of
the
conspiracy
Scarface
to
of
commit murder.
Nigeria and
But if we
shit.
know
Holy
anything from his
fuck.
history, I don't think he would get a long sentence. And it is very likely that he is now living his life comfortably in his lavish and extravagant palaces among his men. And here we reach the end of our story. Don't
That
forget to like
shit's
and subscribe to the channel
crazy.
and activate the bell button. Make sure you check out other stories on the channel. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next
Crazy,
video.
bro. See, chat, the rich get richer. And don't go to jail. Well, they...
Get your hands up!